Hello and welcome back to the channel. In this video, we are going to discuss about functions. Now I have two disclaimers for you. The first one is, this video is part of iOS development course which we are running on my YouTube channel. So if you are directly coming onto this video, I request you to go and check my playlist in which we are going to learn, and we have already started learning iOS development, which is a fully project based learning. And the second one is, we have two types of functions. The first one is pre-built and the second one is user defined. So we have already made a video where we have discussed about pre-built functions using strings. So here an iCard will be coming, go and check that video. And in this video, we'll be discussing about user defined functions. So come on, let's start. So we are in our X code. Now first we should know, why do we write functions? So whenever you code an app or whenever you do anything, you don't write code randomly, like you are writing line by lines or lines of code. Okay, we don't do in that way. So for every task that we do, we have some certain amount of lines of code. So all that lines of code comes into a one function, okay, which makes our app more readable and manageable. Now the second reason is, functions are reusable, which means whenever you write a function and you have some code in it, and if you want to use that mechanism again, you can directly call out that function with that name. So your job is done in that way. So in our X code, what I will do is I will make a function, and a function is made using this func keyword. Now after func, we will be giving the name of the function, and the name should be meaningful, which means it should resemble what the function does. So what I will do is I will name this as add to numbers. Okay. This is how we declare a function with the func keyword and the name of that function. Now what we will do is var a equals 10 and var b equals 15 and print out a plus b. Okay. So this is what our function will do. Whenever I call my function, this will have a variable a, this will have a variable b, and it will print a plus b. Now this function can be anywhere, okay? And if you run it now, you won't see any output because we haven't called this function yet. So what I will do is, first I will call this function, and to call this function, we can just call it by its name, which is add to number. See, when I call this function, what is in this function? 10 plus 15, which is 25, and it is printing 25. So this is how we use functions. For example, we can do the same thing with multiplication, etc. also. Now it's not fun to always like add a and b. What we want is, we want to give it numbers, and using those numbers it will add and do all the other stuff. So what I will say is, I want a which is of type integer and b which is of type integer. Now a and b is not a suitable way to name parameters. So this is called parameter, okay? We have parameters in this function. So what I will say is, this is not a, this is first number, and this is not b, this is second number. Now my add to numbers function will take first number and second number as parameters in this. So see, we are getting an error here which is saying missing arguments are for parameters. So when you click on this, we have a fix button here, but we'll be not fixing it directly, we'll be coding it. So the first number here, the first number is a parameter. The first number would be 40 and the second number would be 20. Now see, what we are saying is, call this add to numbers, which will be taking first number as 40, second number as 20. Now this first number is 40, the second number is 20. Okay, and now we will not be declaring any variables here. Instead what we will be saying is, just print adding first number and second number. That's all. Now when I run this, we have our output here. So this is how parameters work with functions. And if you want, you can declare the same function. Okay, for example, I'll be declaring the same function with the same variable, but what I will do is I will give. Now you can see that we have a function, or we have two functions with same name, add to numbers and add to numbers. And you know that in variables we cannot declare variables with the same name, but here we have functions with the same name. And in the parameters also, I gave this first number, here also first number, type of integers. But the difference here is number of parameters here. Here we have two parameters and here we only have one parameter. Now you can also do this. Add two numbers which will only take first number as a parameter, which is 30, and we'll just directly print first number. Okay. Now if you run this, see, the compiler automatically knows which function to call, because here we only gave one parameter, which is this one. Here we gave two parameters, which is this function. Now you can also do this. Second number, let me copy paste this second number, but this second number is of type double. This is also valid because the number of parameters are same, but the type of parameters are different. So if I give this second number here, if I give this 30, what will happen is, see, this is an integer, this is also an integer, so this is calling this first function. But if I do this, which is a double, and if I run this now, this will call this function where we are only printing it, because the second number is of type double, which is this function. Okay, so we have discussed about functions and parameters that functions take. But you should also know this, functions can return values. So come on, let us check that out. Now to return values, what we will say is, I will make another function which is func return value. And I have declared a function here, and to return a value, this is the symbol, which is a minus and this greater than symbol. And you should say what type of value will this function return. For example, let me say that this function will return a string. So in return function, I will be declaring something, for example, var name Mubashir. And what this function will do is, this will return uppercase name. Let me rename this uppercase name, and this will return name dot uppercase. Okay. Now when I call this function return, let me do one thing. Let me just copy paste this name here. I'm calling this function. When I run this, nothing happens because this is returning as a string, but we are not doing anything with that string. We are not printing it. We are not doing anything with that string. And if you check that here, the preview, this is showing us the correct output, which is Mubashir. But this is the output panel. This is just the preview. So this has returned us something. So what I will do is, I will save it in a variable var name equals return uppercase name, and I will print that name. Or what you can do is, you can directly print this. Now if I run this, say this has that name Mubashir in that capital letters or that uppercase, and it is stored in this name, and we are printing the name here. So this is the output for that. And when I do this print, and in that print I am calling this function directly, and this is output for that. Now let me comment out these things. Now what I will do is I will give a parameter here which is target name, and you can give any name here, for example Ganesh. Okay, and I need to receive the parameter also, so copy this, paste it here, and tell that the input which we are getting from here is of type string, right? Let me comment out this and let me remove this, and we will be returning this target name dot uppercase. Now print it or run it. Now when we run it, Ganesh is what we have passed here, and that is being returned to this return uppercase function, which will be stored in this name, and we are printing the name here. Clear? Now let me uncomment this, and here also let me say target name would be Hruday. And when I run this, we also got Hruday. Now we got to know three things about functions. The first one is how we make functions and why do we make functions. The second one is functions are not only made randomly, it can also take parameters, and using those parameters we can do like any sort of calculations or any sort of manipulation with those parameters. The third thing is functions can also return some value. Maybe it is string, integer, or anything, it can return a value. So this is about functions. If you are still watching this video, I hope you loved it. So don't forget to hit a like and subscribe to my channel. If you have any feedback, any suggestions or complaints, feel free to DM me on my Instagram handle. The link will be in the description. Now the important thing is we have already started making an app. So here an iCard will be coming. Check that video. So that is the part 1. Part 2 will be rolling out after this video. And don't forget to check out my iOS development playlist. That's all for now. I will meet you in the next one. Until then, bye bye.